And welcome to the Black Male Community Council's Boots on the Ground Black Man Standing. This is our third episode, and we're super excited today in terms of providing our audience, again, another story of a black man standing. And I'm so excited about the brother that we're interviewing right now because if he don't have a book, he should. He's a walking legend, and I'm so proud to call him my friend. And he's another. Now we call Stanley the general, but it's all us other generals that be standing in the background. And this is my other general brother, brother Leroy Muhammad, and I'm so glad that he's here today. Thank you for being here, Leroy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity. Thank you, brother.
Oh man,
Let all that praise go by my head, though. Thank you, brother. I'll take it in humility.
I really, just, if you don't mind, I just want to take a moment because I know some things about you.
Yes.
Not only are you a devout Muslim brother, a family man, you a soldier for the Nation of Islam, train people in security and making better men. That's been part of your legacy, and you are a prolific musician. As quiet as it's kept, you're one of the baddest acoustic guitar players in the city of Philadelphia, probably in a wide range in terms of your musical talents, and then there's this whole boutique or haberdashery thing you be doing. I mean, it's just, I'm just in awe, man.
Thank you,
So saying all that, I want to be able to give the audience the opportunity to hear Leroy Muhammad, if you don't mind. I know you're a humble brother, but for this, I really hope you don't mind talking about you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Let me first say, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak a little bit about our organization and very little bit about myself. I try to pass all that by, but because there's so much work that I feel as though I have in front of me yet to do, so I appreciate the opportunity. As for Leroy Muhammad is the first son of Mary and Leroy. Leroy Sr. and Mary grew up in West Philly, matriculated in public schools here in Philadelphia. Went on for a brief stint outside, to additional education on top of that, which was kind of short distance for me, because as a young musician, I attempted to just rely on the music industry as a way of making money for myself and my family. But with a growing family, grass began to be a little bit greener on the other side, and I had to come out of the industry for a moment to focus on the family. So I actually went out and got a quote-unquote real job, which after 31 years, I just retired.
Wow.
31 years with SEPTA here in Philadelphia, so it was quite an experience. So I'm looking at an opportunity now that I was thirsting for while I was physically working, to work with our organization, the Black Male Community Council. I was there with you and Brother Stanley and others in the early days of starting the organization. And it's still highly motivating to me. Just the mention of our name and some of our work is pushing me forward, and it has pushed a lot of folks towards us too. So we're seeing a great turnover as a result of the work that we started in a humble way right there on Girard Avenue at the Guardian Civic League. I think we were there like 6 months or something like that, man. Every Saturday. And some of the greatest minds came through that building during that time period, which was astounding to me, because I met people that I had heard of in the work, advocating for our people, and to actually see them come in our doors and sit with us was a humbling experience. I really enjoyed. So I'm at a good point right now, and I'm ready, locked and loaded, as we say, to go forward, because I actually have time on my hands to be able to do so.
Wow. I want to step back for a minute, because you said something that's very interesting in terms of the Black Male Community Council's early stages of development. I remember those 6 months and those planning sessions before we even stepped out into the community.
Yes.
Because the great minds like yourself and Stanley and others, our focus was, well, we can't do the work in the community unless we have a plan.
Sure.
Right? And we took the time and sat with that first call out that Stanley made, and the 50, 60 brothers that showed up, and we broke up in those sessions in those different areas: education, mediation, security,
That's right.
and cleanup.
That's right.
And those minds sat at those tables to devise a great plan, and then we went to work.
Yeah, that we did.
That was, that's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie in itself, and maybe one day we'll do so.
Maybe one day we'll do so.
It was like you say, the minds that were there, and the to see us put those units together, those components, and those components sat in their their little sections of the room after we had developed them, and then we would come back after those breakout sessions to come to the table, the main table, to discuss what was being brought out in those breakout sessions. Man, it was awesome. Some of the things that were brought to the table. Unfortunately, many of those, like they say, many are called but few are chosen. So there were a lot of folks that came to the table in those early days that for some reason or another did not stick and stay. But I found here of late, when we have resurfaced in a strong way after the pandemic, some of those same people have resurfaced, came right back full circle. I guess some people didn't think it was, maybe they thought it was a short journey.
Well, I believe that some people did.
Yeah, thought a short journey.
It's like today. I wear this shirt, right? You see my shirt here. This is my second time showing my shirt off, right, on these interviews. But here it says, slavery destroyed us, religion divides us, ignorance controls us, and the truth scares us. Right?
The truth.
And again, I think that the Black Male Community Council is an organization that can combat this, right? And so that even slavery in our history becomes valid to us, and a point to understand that even let's take this into consideration. Juneteenth, for instance,
Right.
you learn about that, right? You learn what is history, right? And you learn that even in the Civil War, when the South was beating the North, they were wearing them out. The North was going to lose the war until when? Until they allowed the colored soldiers to fight.
There you go.
Right? So in essence, and one of the things I found out in just stories and from historians, that the brothers they just weren't here in the country, in the United States. They came from Europe, they came from the Caribbean.
That's right.
To fight in the Civil War. So if you think about it from a certain perspective, right, slavery destroyed us, but we're the only people on the face of the earth that went through so much and freed ourselves.
Yep.
We freed ourselves.
Yep.
So those are some things that I think was the essence of the Black Male Community Council is entrenched in those concepts of freeing ourselves,
Yes.
developing ourselves. And I think that's evident in terms of where we started at Girard Avenue to where we are right now.
Where we are. Yeah, that's powerful that you say that. The elementary stages of developing any organization has to start with the history that brought you to that table for you to start making changes. And I found with our organization, we have people from all walks of life. We have Christians, we have Muslims, we have Buddhists, we got agnostics, we got Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses. We got all of that, all within an organization. But we don't find ourselves combating. Yeah, no way at all, man. All of them all came with that one thing that you talked about early, that one goal, one aim, one destiny concept.
That's right.
So all of that was out off of the table. So when we came to the table and started to develop things, I was constantly learning. I learned so much about Juneteenth hanging around you that I remember the first Juneteenth parade that the FOI participated in.
Downtown.
Yeah, downtown. Yep. Some Europeans, we were at the Washington Square. I think, what was that, 7th and Washington or something like that.
Congo Square.
Yeah, Congo Square, that's right. some Europeans came up to me, and I really gave them a whole spiel. And I really felt proud about myself because I had just learned
about
the intrinsic aspects
Okay,
of.
okay.
I knew slightly what Juneteenth was about, but being a part of our organization and participating with the Juneteenth family added more to my palate. So I was able to verbalize to those folks that were there. They were really curious. Well, what is the Juneteenth about? So, okay, I gave them a spiel. And thereafter, it's been like constantly learning. Every year when you do the flag raising, I'm constantly getting things. The Black Male Community Council, the men of the Community Council have always supported the work of the Juneteenth family, and we've all been edified by participating. So it's everything that we've done from the cleanups, man. We learn so much
Right.
in the street on the cleanups. We learn so much in walking through the neighborhoods at night on bullhorns and trying to engage with the people, bring them out from their homes and peeking out their blinds at us to come out. So we learned our people, which was important.
Wow.
And it continues to this day. We're still learning our people.
We're still learning our people. You know, and I think that's such a great thing, right? Well, I want to switch horses for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I'd like you to talk a little bit more about the music, your music.
Oh, wow,
And
thank you.
what does that mean for you in terms of your giving that energy to our community?
Wow, interesting. Well, first I have to say that my father was a musician, and his plight was similar to mine, in which he had records out before I was born. He was a classically trained vocalist.
Oh, wow.
Classically trained. He was one of the first black students to participate or to be enrolled in Curtis Institute here in Philadelphia. He went to Granoff School. He taught at Granoff School for a bit before I was born. And once I got on the scene and he started to develop a young family, he got out of the industry.
Oh, wow.
To bring about his family. So here I am in around about 1972, 73 or so. I got my first professional gig. I started out with a group called the Orlons here in Philadelphia.
Oh, the Orlons.
Yeah,
oh,
where
my
do all
God.
the hippies meet?
Wow.
South Street.
Wow.
And I was like 15 years old, and they grew up. The core of that vocal group, they lived on my parents' block.
Okay.
And they saw me as a young budding guitar player. Their brother was a bass player. So him and I were always playing, and they heard me coming up. So they said, you know, would you like to play with us? I was like, me play with y'all? I said, yeah, sure. Come on out. So my parents allowed me to go on tour with the Orlons. We played on tours with Bo Diddley, Sha Na Na,
Wow.
the Shorells, and all those other groups, man. And I really met some really great people, man. And from that, I started to play in the local club and cabaret bands here in Philadelphia. And I had my first band that I formed was a band called Karma, which we really took off. We really had some really nice horn arrangements and everything. The band really took off. But at that time, it was just so much going on in and around Philadelphia, and we were all, as individual musicians, being tugged upon by other acts trying to pull us in.
Okay.
So I ended up going on tour with other groups and singers and whatnot. But during that time period, I ran into a fellow once. I was out in the Poconos. I never forget. I was maybe about 17 years old, and a guy came up to me. I had been watching his show. He was in a show band or a house band at the place that we were closing the show. And he came up to me and he said, you know, young fella, he said, how old are you? I said, I'm 17. Probably was around 17 then. He said, man, you play a lot of guitar. He says, look at me though. I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, you got a nice amp, a nice guitar, so forth. You seem to be doing well. He said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He said, I've fallen into ignominy, playing behind people all my life.
Oh, wow.
Nobody knows me, I'm always in the shadows. He said, the way you play, he said, I think you need to get out front. So I was like, wow, how can I do that? I had saw some great guitar players, B.B. King and John McLaughlin, George Benson, Wes Montgomery, some of my favorites.
Wow.
Carlos Santana.
All right.
And I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? So I just kept on playing. And then I started writing, and that's where I came into my own.
Oh, okay.
I came into my own and started, after that band, I started a band called it was called Gateway. Never forget, Gateway. And that Gateway band led or morphed into the Groove Merchants.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So now what I'm doing now, I'm at a point right now where I'm trying to reinvent myself.
Okay.
I'm hearing all these different ideas and concepts of music coming from various places. And I want to amalgamate all of those experiences and life experiences together to share with our people. I see my music as an expression of give and take. Anytime I perform, I feed off of the audience. And I want to engage them in what it is that I'm doing. I really feel is that I have a God-given gift, which is a verbalization which comes orally through your ears, but words are not spoken. The thing about music that makes it so beautiful is that anywhere you go, music is accepted. My father said there's only two types of music, good and bad. So once I heard that, it was like, okay, I know what I want to do. So I'm still pressing. I've been challenged in the last 2 years with hand issues. All these years of between martial arts, and I started in the crazy field of martial arts when we thought that breaking bricks and breaking boards was the way. But when you get in your 60s, the effect of that takes hold.
Sure.
40 something, 45, almost 50 years of playing guitar, the martial arts, and then pressing buttons at SEPTA has caused me to have, they thought it was carpal tunnel.
Okay.
They found out that it was in my left hand, it was an inflamed tendon. So I recently had surgery with that. I've had multiple issues of what they call trigger finger in both my left and right, which is really from excessive use of the hands.
Okay.
So I'm paying for it to a degree, but I still strive forward to keep this thing alive. You know, even if I stop playing, which I doubt that I'll ever stop playing. If I got to play with one finger, I'll do it. But either way I look at it, I'm going to continue to strive to do this music. And I also thank the organization, the Black Male Community Council and the Juneteenth family. They've afforded me multiple opportunities to push my music out, as we're doing right now. And, you know, this is somewhat of an unpaid commercial. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
One of the things, I wanted you to talk about the music, and you went right into where other place I wanted you to go.
Okay.
In terms of how you deal with the security that you have been so well known for in the city of Philadelphia and in other cities and states, whatever that may be.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
But and from a certain perspective, there seems, and when I listen to you talk, it just seems to be a certain line that runs through all of them that connects who you are. And,
Wow.
You talk about that a little bit?
Wow. Well, you're a reader. You're a real reader. That is so true. I found as I've aged that there is a common thread, a common line that runs through everything that I do. Everything. I can't escape it. It's amazing to me how it's all interconnected. So what has happened to me with the security thing that I've done for a number of people in a number of years now, kind of stumbled on it, but I recognized at an early age through my father's experience. My father was a military man also. So he raised me in a disciplined mindset, but he also raised me to be very observant, but he also taught humility. So I was able to find my way into the executive protection industry many years ago, and I got polished by the Nation of Islam, which is known for its protection of its leadership and its offices within it. So I've been in many training sessions and many training academies to learn the art, I'll call it the art because it is art to it, of executive protection. I'm currently working with a company called Men in Black Security, which is one of the most well-known in this area in terms of executive protection, black-owned company, and I've made my way into the executive offices of the company itself. We do a lot of entertainers at this point and private functions, and we have some corporate individuals that we also work with. But my training has also led me to Quantico and other places, whereas I've dealt with people that are on a federal level in terms of executive protection. And at this point, I'm looking into training others in doing that. Through the Men in Black, we have a training academy here in Philadelphia that anybody that actually works with us, because we found that a lot of security agencies in the city of Philadelphia are people what we call bar bouncers. They just bounce people around, throw them out the doors and all that kind of stuff. But I've been able to hone the science of conflict resolution and crisis intervention and how to actually go into the mind of the aggressive combatant to turn them around from what it is that they desire to do. Now we're well and able and capable of taking a person out from a situation, but why do that when you can just talk them through it? Because a lot of times people are just looking for some type of attention, and in some of the worlds that we're working in, with entertainers and whatnot, folks are under some type of influence, so we have to battle up against that as well. But I've been bringing my expertise to many of the organizations here in Philadelphia. Philly Truce. I've acted as a trainer for them, and mediation trainer. I've sat in mediations with them, with other organizations. And I take many opportunity when I see folks that I know personally, like I'm dealing with a case right now, a murder that took place this past weekend here in Philadelphia. I knew the people personally. I knew the person, I knew the killer, I knew the person that was killed.
Wow.
And the circumstances around it brought it right to my table. So I've been negotiating or going between, not necessarily negotiating because the people were kind of pliant, they were okay to a degree, but there was so much rumors and stuff that were running around the street that I had to come in between to talk the two sides down to understand that they have better to wait to allow the truth of matters to come out so that they can actually iron them out. So I'm looking forward to that within the next week or so. So I'm looking for opportunities, especially with this newfound time that I have, to devote more of my time to liberating our people from whatever it is that's causing them any issue.
You know, you said something once that I remember, and it stuck with me. When you said that, I will work with any organization in the city of Philadelphia or beyond that is doing something for the liberation of our people. I thought that was so profound,
Yes.
and it leads me to this statement as we come to a close.
Yes.
I said this before in other interviews that we've had with the Black Male Community Council, and I'm going to say it here because it's so fitting. There was a brother, Hakeem Booty, out of Chicago, down in the 60s revolution.
Brother Leroy.
and one of the statements he said that there will be men that will come that will not be compromised.
Right.
They will have integrity. They will be steadfast in their commitment to the liberation of their people. And I'm honored to know that there are men in the Black Male Community Council that fit that category, and you surely do. And I am so when I talk about the Black Male Community Council, and I think about those brothers that I love and I know and I feel in my heart that they will not be compromised. They have integrity, and we're moving an energy forward for change.
Yes.
So, Brother Leroy, I thank you.
Thank you too, brother.
As one brother with integrity to another.
Thank you.
Brother General.
Thank you, Brother General.
All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
so thank you so much. One last question: where do you see the Black Male Community Council in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, let me start with the first year, because I would be remiss if I didn't mention this brother's name, Brother Najee Muhammad. Brother Najee Muhammad was the one that introduced me to the organization. And because it was him, I took a look at what it was that, he was talking about.
Wow.
And I'm glad that I did so. He's gone now, but
Yes.
he's here
I
with us
forgot.
all. He's
That's
right
right.
here.
That's
We know
right.
that. We got
right.
evidence all around our building here that he's still alive and well with us. Now, that's the start. Where I see the Black Male Community Council, I can't even fathom where we would be with the right support and the right eyes on us, and more people coming out to participate in the work that we've somewhat defined, but it's an old work. It's nothing new that we're doing. It's an old work, but somebody had to do it.
Somebody had to do it.
So I can't even fathom, because some of the things that we've accomplished up to this point is amazing. Look at this building that we're in.
Surely.
You know, from where we came from,
That's right.
using some space on Girard Avenue to going up to the place on Wayne Avenue. Lord have mercy.
To
Then back to Germantown, or up on Germantown.
Avenue.
Third floor of
Third
Germantown Avenue.
So glad we got to climb the steps.
Yeah.
Look,
to this.
Yeah. And I can't remember. I have to say this, right? And a lot of that is due to your leadership, because one of the things I have not said, you are the chairman of the board of the Black Male Community Council of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So
Grateful.
And I think that is a befitting. Again, your brilliance, how brilliant you are, what you bring to the table from a common sense perspective, but with the proper knowledge to back up the things that you say. So I'm like, Brother Leroy, you the truth. I keep saying that, and I'll keep saying it.
Thank you.
And when people get to hear you play, then they really understand.
Yes,
sir. So it's a beautiful thing. Yes, so I thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here to have this interview for Black Man Standing, Black Male Community Council of Philadelphia, Black Man Standing, Boots on the Ground.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
All
brother.
hands on deck.
All hands on deck.